A Las Vegas Raiders trade rumor, a piece of gossip hits the Twitter streets, and you think I'm not going to talk about it? You think I'm not going to comment on it? Come on, Clock Dodgers, you know me better than that. Let's go.
Cannot play with him. Cannot win with him. Cannot coach with him. Can't do it.
You play to win the game.
I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. Not a game. Not a game. We talking about practice.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Touchdown!
You are now locked in to the Clock Dodgers podcast.
Clock Dodgers Podcast.
All right. Let's settle down. Let's get straight to this news. Welcome back, Clock Dodgers. Another episode for you guys. So I seen a tweet. I was just making my way up and down the Twitter streets, and I seen a tweet I came across. I think it was actually it might have been in like the trending section for me, or the top news or something, because I'm a Raiders fan, so the algorithm pulls these things towards me. And Vincent Bonsignore, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, bro. But at Vinny Bonsignore again, Bonsignore, Vegas Nation reporter, Review Journal, covers the Raiders, NFL insider for LA's AM 570 Sports, drops a tweet 3 hours ago from when I'm recording this, and he says, multiple NFL sources indicate to me that Derek Carr is a hot commodity, and it is expected that multiple teams will pursue him via trade that could lead to the Raiders pursuing Deshaun Watson in a blockbuster trade. All right, so I'm going to try to unpack this in a quick manner, because there's a lot going on here in this, right? And this is now being carried out by their news sources. I've seen PFF tweet something to the same, something somewhere about this. Roto World, and so people are talking, right? So a couple of things. He is a legit verified source, so it's not just random. It's not all the Raiders sources talking like this right now. So it's just he's coming out with this first, and then other people are gonna run with it, and we'll see how they comment on it. But let's just state some of the obvious stuff here. Derek Carr is a hot commodity. Well, yeah, he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. He actually played really good last year, minus all the shit talking people want to do about Derek Carr. And as bad as they want to say he is, legitimately the numbers spoke for themselves. He beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs last year. Even, I mean, he played well. If you think that Derek Carr is why the Raiders were not a playoff team, like not in the playoffs, and if you think Derek Carr is the reason why they didn't win enough games, and if you think Derek Carr is the problem in Las Vegas, you're not watching the games. That's just straight up a fact. There's no way you're watching the games and you go, well, the Raiders' biggest problem is definitely Derek Carr. The reason the Raiders aren't making the playoffs is definitely Derek Carr. If you're saying that, you're not watching the games. You're literally reading Twitter headlines and you're not watching football. That's fine. That's fine. There's a lot of people like that. I get it. And it's fun, to hate on Derek Carr and the Raiders. It's cool. I get it. The fact is, if you watch the games, you know he's not the issue. Is he Deshaun Watson? No, he is not. Is he Patrick Mahomes? No, he is not. Is he a top 5 quarterback in the NFL? No, he is not. That's just the facts. That's also the facts. Both can be true. Is he top 15? Potentially. And that's good enough to win you a Super Bowl, in my opinion. If you have everything else clicking, if you have a top flight defense, if you have playmakers all over the field, that puts you in playoff Super Bowl contention. He's not Patrick Mahomes, guys. He's not. As a Raider fan, it's very easy to say that. He's not top 5, guys. It's very easy to say that. It's not a problem. It's not a big deal. It's fine. Only 5 teams get top 5 quarterbacks. So it's okay. We can't expect every team to have that. So even as a Raider fan, it's okay to say that. But Derek Carr is not the problem. That's number one. So let's just clear that out the way. Is he a hot commodity? I'm sure he is. I'm sure there's teams who feel like they could use Derek Carr. I could pick tons of teams across the NFL who I'd rather have Derek Carr than their quarterback, or their quarterback situation or whatever it is. Obviously, this is going to change as teams are drafting quarterbacks in this year's draft. Teams are trading for quarterbacks. Things are happening. So it's a fluid situation. But if you're going to lose Deshaun Watson, is Derek Carr the worst thing that can happen to you? They had a bad experience with his brother, but even then, it probably wasn't his brother's fault. They had a horrible offensive line. There's a lot of things that transpired. Derek Carr in Houston would be kind of hilarious, actually, when you think about it. But let's just look at the tweet and break it down really quick. It's expected that multiple teams will pursue him via trade. Multiple teams explore trades with all different kinds of players, all different kinds of teams. This isn't really a big deal. And it's not really anything special, right? Like if you have a team and your quarterback is halfway decent, it's likely that someone's called you. Like, that just happens. So that's not a surprise either, right? So it's not a surprise. We just seen Matthew Stafford get traded for Jared Goff. That happened, right? So if that happened, that means any quarterback can be called about. So it doesn't say the Raiders are shopping Derek Carr. Like, it doesn't say he's on the block. It doesn't say, the Raiders are looking to move on from Derek Carr, so the Raiders are actively shopping him. That's not what this says. It's not what this says at all. So do I believe the Raiders are looking to trade Derek Carr? No. Do I believe that if the Raiders got a deal they couldn't pass up in their minds for Derek Carr, would they do it? Sure. What team wouldn't? You would hope a good GM and a good coach and a good management would do that. I mean, the Raiders have done it before in the past, not necessarily with the staff, obviously, and this general manager, but they've gotten rid of, the big players. So that wouldn't be surprising. Do I think it's going to happen? I mean, well, let's bounce around through the rest of the suite here. That could lead to the Raiders pursuing Deshaun Watson. Okay, so again, this isn't saying the Raiders are actively shopping Derek Carr because they want Deshaun Watson. This is simply saying that the Raiders are getting calls, and that if they traded Derek Carr, they would go after Deshaun Watson. They could lead to them going after Deshaun Watson. Well, that's obvious. If you trade Derek Carr, if you trade your franchise quarterback, if you trade the starter for the last 8 years or whatever Derek Carr's been playing for, of course you're going to look for the next best option, and Deshaun Watson is the better option. So yeah, all of this it can be real. But there's no facts here. There's no substantial information here except that teams are calling about Derek Carr. Okay, well, that doesn't mean anything unless the Raiders do something about it, right? Now, I've seen also people taking this and kind of running with it and saying, well, the Raiders are going to try to trade for Deshaun Watson straight up, Derek Carr plus pieces for Deshaun Watson. I'm all good with Deshaun Watson coming to the Raiders, and I'm all good with trading Derek Carr if you have to for Deshaun Watson type of situation. I'm not cool with trading Derek Carr just for, any situation, but if Deshaun Watson is the end result, I'm good with it. However, I see people getting crazy. Derek Carr, a bunch of first round draft picks, Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs. Like, that's when you get silly. That's when you get silly. It doesn't even seem like that would happen. So would the Raiders trade Derek Carr? Sure, if they got blown away with the deal. Are they looking to trade Derek Carr? Absolutely not. Would they trade for Deshaun Watson if they traded Derek Carr? Of course. Who wouldn't? I mean, obviously, right? All this stuff. I think it's all pretty cut and dry. I think it just gets crazy when people start getting, they turn on their Madden and they start thinking like, oh my God, the Raiders are going to trade Derek Carr, Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs, every single player on the team, plus all their draft picks for the next 20 years for Deshaun Watson. That's not going to happen. That's not what's going to happen here, people. If the Raiders traded for Deshaun Watson somehow and they ended up with him, fantastic. As a Raider fan, as a fantasy fan, I would be here for all of that. If Derek Carr changes teams, I would still be a fan. I would think that the weapons on that offense are super viable with Derek Carr there. He is not going to hurt an offense at all. If Jared Goff isn't hurting offense, Derek Carr's not hurting offense either. It's just not happening. So if either one of these guys get moved, I'm here for it. I'm not looking down on the assets on the team. I'm not looking down on the player themselves. I'm happy about all of it. But I mean, when this kind of stuff hits Twitter, I'm talking about the news here, and I like breaking down these big headlines with you guys and getting into them from a fantasy perspective, an NFL perspective, just all around. But when I seen the Raider thing hit the headline, your boy gets emotional. I get passionate about my Raiders. So yeah, I wanted to immediately give my thoughts on this because it literally, I seen the headline on Twitter, turn the mic on, turn the Pro Tools on. I said, I got to get with my Clock Dodgers. We got to talk about this. We got to talk about some things. So I see the tweets being, retweeted like crazy and favorited like crazy. So, I mean, we'll see, how this develops, if you will. But I feel like there's just more, we're going to get, the Super Bowl's about to happen, right? And then after that, we're not going to have much, people feel like there's not going to be as much to talk about, right? But this is the kind of stuff that starts to happen. Names like this get dropped and potential ideas and trades, and people get excited about it. I looked around at the other, Raiders, people, the guys covering the Raiders, the analysts, the journalists, the reporters, and I haven't really seen anything else, any other comments about this. So I'm just going to take it with a grain of salt for now. Not that he's wrong that teams have called. I'm sure they have. I'm absolutely sure teams have called. That's not a wild idea at all. But to think that, this is like a really high likely thing. And I believe he said, I don't know if he said it in the tweet or another following tweet or if it was somewhere in his article, but I believe that he also mentioned that he doesn't think it's likely that Carr gets traded. Again, that's just the smart way to look at this. The likelihood of Carr getting traded, let's just wrap this up here. The likelihood that Carr gets traded from the Raiders, not high. Not high at all. The likelihood that teams are calling the Raiders, high. That's what good general managers do. That's their job. So that's very high of a chance. The chance that if the Raiders traded Derek Carr, they would go after Deshaun Watson, high, obviously. But the chance that they even get to that opportunity of going after Deshaun Watson, I don't think it's high because they're not going to trade Derek Carr. So unless, again, like I said, unless they get an offer they're blown away with, I totally get it. But they're not shopping them. They're just not. The Raiders like Carr. Many Raider fans will acknowledge that Carr isn't necessarily the issue. Again, this is not to say there's not better quarterbacks. This is not to say that Carr is a top 5 quarterback or some elite level quarterback. He might not be. His stats were really good last year, but the Raiders just haven't won. They just haven't won with Derek Carr. When the Raiders win with Derek Carr, everyone changes their tune on Derek Carr. Outside of the Raider fans. Even Raider fans, they get frustrated. Obviously, I get frustrated. I see Carr do things sometimes. I'm like, man, But I don't ever say Carr is the single reason why the Raiders can't win. I don't look at it that way. I don't look at Carr as the reason, the thing holding them back. You know what I mean? The defense is atrocious. They have some playmakers on defense, some young guys that I'm sure they're looking to make major steps, major leaps, and they get better and better. But now they got a new defensive staff in town, which hopefully can simplify things a little bit, make things a little better, and, just overall performing well. And hopefully they draft well, and infuse this team with more youth, talented defensive players and, some offensive guys. But overall, I don't think the Raiders, and again, I know I'm biased. I understand this. But I don't think the Raiders are far from being a playoff team. I think we've seen that last year. Obviously, they have a monster in their own division that stands in front of them. That makes it very impossible. It makes it almost impossible. It feels like sometimes, but yeah, Carr is not the problem, and the Raiders are not actively shopping him. This is simply, if it's true, teams are calling. That's not crazy at all. That's nothing to get crazy about. And we're going to continue to see Deshaun Watson tied to every team they could possibly tie him to because it's an awesome looking headline. Let's be honest. I'm sure every single team outside of a team with a few quarterbacks out there have written articles, have posted articles and content about Deshaun Watson and their team. It looks good. Everyone wants Deshaun Watson. He's fucking good at football. So, of course, people are excited. They like the topic. It's fun. I'm going to be excited about Deshaun Watson wherever he goes. Because unlike some people when he was coming into the league who said he couldn't play football and he couldn't throw the football and all kinds of ridiculous metrics they were making up about him, he's a good player. He's really, 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 really good. And he's going to make some team really happy. Whether the Texans pull off some voodoo and keep him there, some magic against him. I don't know what they got on him, but if they keep him, awesome, good for them. But if not, he's going to make a team happy. There's no other way to put it. And when it comes to the price to pay for him is really, dude, he's a young elite quarterback. Whatever your team gives up for him is basically worth it. As long as your team is close, somewhat close, competitive to, be the champion or a playoff team, it's worth it. But it does trip me out when I see these trades like Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs, Derek Carr, 14 first-round draft picks. Like, relax. Come on. You don't even sound realistic here. And then to say that you couldn't get a first-round draft pick or potentially 2 first-round draft picks for Derek Carr, that's also crazy. That's crazy. I promise you the Raiders would get a first-round draft pick for Derek Carr. Potentially multiple draft picks. They would get it. He is not a bad quarterback. And teams across the league don't look at him as a bad quarterback. So he would get that. I really believe that. That's not a question to me. So we'll see if any new news comes out about this, any other breaking news, any other tweets or anything, or anyone else takes it a little further. But for now, That's my opinion on it. That's how I feel about it. I'm curious your thoughts. I'm curious what you think is going to transpire. I'm really curious where, how I'm curious what you think on how long this Deshaun Watson situation is going to take. Because this thing could either drag on really long or it could end quick and all this controversy about, what team he's going to go to can stop. I don't mind it either way. It's fun to kind of play with the idea of it. But, yeah, Derek Carr starting next season will be a Raiders quarterback. Unless unless they get a crazy offer. And it's just what it is, man. And any team, if they didn't have a starting quarterback that they were comfortable with or that they really believed in, should be pursuing Deshaun Watson. Facts. Absolute facts. That's it, guys. I will catch you tomorrow. As always, be kind, be great, keep dodging.